Well, hey friends, and welcome back. Today, I want to share with you how I packed using a personal item only for a 5-day trip. Whenever I travel, I always like to pack pretty minimally, but taking only a backpack with you really takes things to a whole new level. That being said, even when packing ultra light, the basics don't really change much for me. Just like with any trip, the first thing that I like to do is to plan out the clothing that I'll wear. I'll always make sure to double check the weather of my destination, then I'll try to pack clothing that's going to be seasonally appropriate, neutral, and that can pair well together. And that's something that I always try to do, but it's especially important when you're working with limited space. So for our 5-day trip, I brought with me 3 t-shirts, 2 tank tops, a long sleeve shirt and cardigan for layering, 2 pairs of denim shorts, 2 pairs of soft shorts, one of which I was planning to sleep in, and 2 bathing suits. But then next, with my clothing picked out, I began folding everything so it would fit well in my suitcase. After traveling quite a bit the past few years and experimenting with different suitcase and backpack organization strategies, I finally settled on the brick method as my preferred method of clothing organization. And essentially what it is just a method for folding, somewhere between folding your clothes and the KonMari method. And the whole idea is just to take your clothing item, whether it's a shirt, tank top, shorts, pair of pants, or anything else, and to fold it into the same standard brick shape. And what that really does is 2 things. First, it helps your suitcase to stay organized, but then also it really helps you to be able to see all of your clothing at a glance. So I just took a few moments to fold up all of my clothing, and yes, that does include my bikinis. All I did was just tuck the straps in, fold the top in on itself, and then wrap my bathing suit bottoms around it. To be fair though, these did end up looking a little bit more like baseballs than bricks. But then with all of my clothing folded, I laid it out on the bed, and to that I added my Roots Canada hat, as well as this Turkish towel. Then I came back to my backpack and started packing all of the clothing in the main compartment. And this is really one of the things that I love the most about this travel backpack. It fits the personal item size dimensions of most airlines, but it actually opens up like a suitcase. In my opinion, making it a perfect option for short-term travel. But once all my clothing was organized in the main compartment, I moved on to packing some undergarments. And I just brought a handful of underwear and a couple bras. No socks though, since I was only planning to wear sandals during this trip. Then I just placed everything into this zippered cloth bag and slipped that into the side compartment in the backpack. And then finally, before moving on from clothing, I just got my travel day outfit ready. And I just set aside my cardigan, a pair of shorts, and tank top. And then next, I moved on to toiletries, starting with liquids, and I just packed an SPF lotion, some shampoo, conditioner, heat protectant spray, an anti-snap hairspray, and some toothpaste. And I just packed all of that into this TSA-approved travel bag. And if you travel frequently, this is definitely something that I would consider an essential. I love how sturdy it is and how it has room for everything without being too big. Then once my liquids bag was packed, I turned to my makeup bag. What I keep in my makeup bag doesn't really ever change, and this is something that always stays packed. It is pretty spacious in there though, and when trying to pack light, it is so important to use all available space. So to that, I just added my deodorant, a travel size razor, and my scrunchie. Then I just packed a couple of other loose items. First was my toothbrush, which I just put in a little travel container. Then I also set out my curling iron. For packing my toiletries, I actually tried a few different things and discovered that my makeup bag fit best in the main compartment, but then with everything else, I put it in this separate front compartment that's actually waterproof. And then next on my packing list, I decided to tackle my shoes. And in an effort to save space, I decided to travel with only 2 pairs of shoes on this trip. And the first was these beige flip-flops for the beach. So I just packed them into a small canvas bag and then placed them in the dedicated shoe compartment. Then my second and final pair of shoes was my Birkenstocks, which I set aside to wear on our travel day. And then next, I turned my attention to packing a few miscellaneous essentials. The first of which was this tote, which I planned to use as a beach bag. But then I also got out a few essentials which typically live in my purse but are always good to have on hand. So I laid out hand sanitizer, hand cream, perfume, a nail file, my trusty Tide to Go pen, some Lactaid pills, a lip balm, a lipstick, and some medicine. And I just used a matching zippered pouch to keep all of those essentials organized and in one place. And I also got out this little wristlet. I love how small and compact it is, just big enough for your passport or driver's license and a wallet. Then again, I just laid everything out to make sure I wasn't forgetting anything. So to the items that we'd already packed, I added a pair of sunglasses, my AirPods, and an eye mask. And I ended up packing each of these into different places depending on where I thought they'd be the most useful. So for my AirPods and sunglasses, I placed them in this side compartment where I'd have easy access to them. And then for my wristlet, I placed it in this protective hidden compartment that would be against my back when carrying it. Then my eye mask I placed in this front zippered pocket, again for easy access. And then with both the tote bag and the small pouch, I decided to use some of the extra space that we had in the main compartment to store them. And then last but not least, I moved on to packing my electronics. And even when traveling light, I always love taking a camera with me. So I just packed my smallest camera and a spare battery into this canvas bag. And then for cords, do you see a theme here? Again, I love a good zippered pouch. And this one off Etsy is one of my favorites. And I just used it to store my phone and computer cords, as well as an external battery. Then the only other thing that I packed electronics-wise was my MacBook Pro. Then for packing each of these, I placed the camera in the remaining space at the top of the main compartment. Then I closed that up and unzipped the dedicated laptop compartment at the back. And by wedging my laptop all the way at the bottom, I was actually able to create enough space for the cords pouch on top. And then as a final step, I just clipped together each of the 4 buckles on the bag. But then with that, my bag was packed and I was ready for the trip. All that was left to do was to lay out my clothing and shoes for the travel day. Alright, well that's it. That's how I pack using only a personal item. I really hope that this can give you some ideas and inspiration on how you might be able to pack light for your next trip. As always, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already for more simple and intentional living inspiration, and don't forget that if you're wondering where anything was from that I mentioned in this video, it should all be linked up for you in the description box below. But that's everything for today, friends, so until next time, happy travels.